Now a promise we all make to our kids when we take them to the dentist: don't worry, it won't hurt too much. But for some children, that promise was broken deliberately, behind closed doors. Here's Deborah Roberts.
Most dental offices try to create a happy environment for nervous children. But what if the dentist worries more about the bill than your child's anxiety? That's what these families claim happened to them at a dental clinic catering to low-income Medicaid families in North Carolina.
They said if you don't stop crying, that I couldn't see my mom again. I was crying for my mom, and I was crying because they were hurting me.
And did anybody stop?
I told them to stop, but they wouldn't stop.
Awful memories these children recall so clearly, even years later.
They just pull my arms back and my legs back, and then they strap me down.
I was bleeding and crying and really swollen.
And parents weren't allowed past the front desk, says Sandra Franklin.
They said, oh no, you can't go back there, you can't go back there.
Brandon's mom, Christy, says she waited 2 nerve-wracking hours for her 5-year-old.
And he comes walking out of that door with his whole shirt was full of sweat. He had blood dripping from his mouth, and all I could see was silver shining through.
Silver from a mouthful of crowns just put in by the dentist.
He was freaking out, and all I could do was just grab him and hold him and tell him it was going to be okay.
Sandra's 6-year-old daughter also told a horrifying story.
She kept crying for her mom, and
it's upsetting to remember, isn't it?
And she said they turned the radio really loud so that no one could hear her crying.
In one sitting, Morgan had been subjected to 5 baby root canals, plus 5 fillings and crowns. Jasmine had 11 baby root canals, and Ontavia, 14. Hunter and Brandon each had 16 baby root canals, nearly every tooth in their mouth. All in one visit. That's mind-blowing. And you're talking 4 and 5 and 3-year-old children.
Yeah. I felt like they took my son's smile away.
The North Carolina clinics these children can't forget were partly owned by this man, Michael DeRose. He and his partner were later investigated by the Justice Department, which blamed the clinics for invasive and sometimes painful procedures that were not necessary for the sake of obtaining money. 2 years ago, DeRose paid a $10 million settlement on Medicaid fraud charges without admitting guilt. DeRose declined to speak with us on camera, but his Colorado home speaks volumes. A lavish 7-bath, 12,000-square-foot residence, complete with a pool, a hot tub, and a big new extension that'll house a dance studio and a personal gym. DeRose made a fortune after he and a partner sold another chain of dental clinics called Small Smiles 2 years ago. Now operating in 20 states, sources tell us those clinics have had problems too. Watch this heartbreaking treatment of a 4-year-old in a Maryland Small Smiles clinic just over a year ago.
They get so upset they'll throw up.
Former dental assistant Debbie Sansbury worked at another Small Smiles clinic up until last spring. She told us the dentist often focused on getting the job done fast. Would the dentist stop the procedure and let the child maybe get up and calm down?
We stopped the procedure long enough to clean up the vomit, and then return to it.
Her clinic defends the quality of its treatment and says Sansbury was fired for behavioral issues. But why would anyone treat children this way? An investigation last year by WJLA in Washington found one possible explanation.
A ridiculous production of $7,000. We can't stay in business making $7,000.
Money was a big topic at the daily staff meeting in that Maryland clinic run by Dr. Al Williams. Since Medicaid pays very little, sources say some clinics push their employees to keep the procedures up.
I don't want Langley Park to be the laughing stock of the entire Small Smiles nation. And yesterday's stats, we are.
Small Smiles offers the staff up to hundreds of dollars in productivity bonuses and thousands for the dentists.
Let's go. Let's have a good one.
One way to get the kids in and out faster, say former employees, is to restrain them. That screaming child is actually strapped to a papoose board, which holds hands and feet mummy style, allowing a dentist to keep working even if the child's hysterical.
There were a lot of cases that we could have easily prevented the use of a papoose just by sparing them 5 minutes of their time, alleviating all their concerns and nourishing them and letting them know that it'll be all right.
But the 5 minutes was not deemed appropriate?
Exactly.
The Pediatric Dental Association allows the board's use for a child's best interest, but told us they're not acceptable to speed up the work. Yet listen to what Dr. Williams told WJLA.
You can potentially spend 2 hours on a kid who's not stabilized and moving around, and that's not cost productive for us.
Here, too, parents were kept away from their children during treatment.
We don't want them to see what goes on in here. Not that we are doing anything wrong, but as a parent, you wouldn't want to see your child strapped up like that.
The company claims it uses the boards on just 6% of kids up to 7 years old, and only when medically necessary. But current and former employees tell us some clinics use the boards much more often than that.
I feel sick to my stomach to go in the morning.
This dentist from another Small Smiles clinic asked us to conceal his identity and told us he resigned partly because he was traumatized by the children's cries.
You would think that they're cutting their arms and legs off. The screams are blood-curdling. They're terrifying.
He was even more disturbed by the pricier and sometimes more invasive work performed when cheaper options would do. Did you see unnecessary work?
I see a lot of unnecessary work. I see a lot of over-treatment.
And WJLA did too. 8-year-old Rachel was diagnosed with 4 cavities at a Small Smiles clinic, but her mom took her for a second opinion with pediatric dentist Dr. Robert Camps.
I'm glad it wasn't done because it shouldn't have been done.
He found no need to treat those teeth. As for her sister, Rebecca, Small Smiles claimed to have drilled and filled 8 cavities, but Dr. Camps had an even bigger surprise.
They did not cut into the tooth to do a filling.
Camps says the clinic never did the work, despite billing Medicaid hundreds of dollars.
I found out that, my kids were just cash cows for Small Smiles.
Dr. Williams has since left the company and his clinic closed. After all that bad publicity, the company hired respected pediatric dental expert Dr. Stephen Adair to oversee standards and training. What would be your reaction if you found out that some clinics were performing procedures that were unnecessary?
I haven't been presented with evidence of unnecessary care.
We've heard stories of children who were hysterical and were restrained by these boards, but who soiled themselves. Does that concern you to hear that?
In my own practice, I would probably discontinue treatment if the treatment got to that point.
In fact, he says he's emphasizing that papoose boards should only be used when necessary. Meantime, the company insists that it provides a valuable service to low-income kids who often have severe dental problems and few other dentists to turn to.
They're able to look through and observe what's going on with their children.
As Dr. Tony Adderley showed me in a tour of her Small Smiles clinic in Washington, D.C., there's been a change in policy. There's a sign up that says parents are allowed back. Are they told that as well?
They're told they can come back.
She also told us she feels no pressure to produce. But Sansbury says that was not her experience at the clinic she left last spring.
It seems as if the money situation prevails over what's best for the children.
So you think it's all about getting the most money?
I believe that, sincerely.
Meantime, the Justice Department is looking into Small Smiles for possible Medicaid fraud. As for the families who visited that North Carolina chain of clinics several years ago, they're now suing. The former owners have denied their charges. When you think about the dentist now, how do you feel?
That I don't want to go back.
I'm scared of a dentist. Like, real bad.